My name is Lara Lambert. I'm 33 years old. Last month, at my grandfather's will reading, my father burst out laughing the moment the lawyer said I would receive only $10. My brother Tyler leaned forward and sneered loud enough for the whole room to hear. $10? After 5 years of you wiping his ass, changing his diapers, and sleeping on a fucking cot like a servant? Guess that's all your so-called sacrifice was worth, huh? His wife smirked and added, "At least she was useful for something before he died. We should have paid her minimum wage." I sat there while they happily split the house and over $500,000. The same family that begged me to quit my job, abandon my life, and become his full-time caregiver because you're single, you have time. They were still laughing when the lawyer cleared his throat and said quietly, "Actually, there's a second envelope your grandfather prepared. One he wanted Lara to see first." And for the first time that day, the room went completely silent. Before we go on, please like and subscribe, and drop a comment telling me if you've ever been the family's unpaid caregiver or been laughed at for your sacrifice. Tell me exactly what they said to you. I read every single one, but I need to take you back to where this started. April 2019, 2 days after Grandpa's stroke. The fluorescent lights in Carlisle Regional Medical Center made everything look gray. My grandfather Howard lay in bed with the right side of his body completely still. Not sleeping still, but dead weight still. A stroke, the doctor said. Massive ischemic event. Right side paralysis. He'd need 24/7 care. I was 28 years old. I worked as a veterinary technician. I had a small apartment with a cat named Pepper and a routine that felt safe. That morning, I'd woken up thinking about whether to try the new Thai place downtown for lunch. Now, I was standing in a hospital room watching my father Carl calculate how much a nursing home would cost. $8,500 a month, the doctor said when Carl asked. That's for skilled nursing care with the level of attention he'll need. Carl went pale. Tyler, my older brother, pulled out his phone, opened the calculator app. I watched him multiply. His jaw tightened. "There's another option," the doctor continued, and I felt the weight of what was coming before anyone said it. Family care. If someone can be there full-time. Lara. Carl said my name like it was the obvious answer to a math problem. "You're the logical choice." I looked at him. "I have a job." "You work with animals." He said it like that made it the same thing. "You already know caregiving, and you're—" He stopped. "Single," Tyler finished. "No kids. You've got time. I've got Jessica and the kids. Grandpa would understand." The words hung there between us. You're single. You have time. As if my life was just empty space waiting to be filled with someone else's needs. My grandfather made a sound. Not words. His speech was slurred, difficult. But I moved closer anyway, and his left hand reached for mine. The right hand lay useless on the white hospital blanket. "We'll figure out compensation," Carl said behind me. "Right now, we just need to know someone's there for him." I looked down at Howard. He'd taught chemistry at Carlisle High School for 32 years. He'd taught me to play chess when I was 7. He'd come to my veterinary technician graduation when my parents couldn't make it. Some work thing, they'd said. His eyes met mine. Clear, despite everything. And in that moment, I made the choice that would cost me everything. "Okay," I said. "I'll do it." 3 days later, we met at Panera Bread on Hanover Street. Neutral territory. Carl brought a notepad, blue ballpoint pen, the kind that skips. He wrote, "Lara equals primary caregiver," and underlined it twice. No other details. No timeline. No compensation structure. "You're building toward something," Tyler said, leaning back in his chair with that confident smile he'd had since high school. "The house will be yours eventually. Dad's place is paid off, worth at least $400,000 now. You help him recover. You get equity." The word hung there. Equity. Undefined. Unwritten. Should we put this in writing? I asked. Carl waved it off. We'll make it official when the time comes. Right now, Dad needs help. We can't let him rot in some facility where they don't know him. What about my job? My voice sounded small. I make $42,000 a year at the clinic. Tyler leaned forward. Laura, you'll be living rent-free. That's worth at least $1,800 a month. Over $20,000 a year. Plus, this is temporary. Stroke recovery. Maybe 2 years max. Then you'll have your life back. Plus a house. 2 years. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that sacrifice had a finish line, that family took care of family, that my father's promises meant something. Tyler's wife, Jessica, touched my arm as we left. You're really good at this kind of thing, she said, kindness dripping like honey. Caring for others. Not everyone has that gift. It felt like a cage door closing, but I told myself I was being paranoid. April 28th, 2019. I moved into 412 Maple Street. Small 3-bedroom ranch, pale yellow siding, built in 1978. The guest room was 8 by 10. Barely fit a twin bed. I set up a baby monitor in Howard's room. The green light glowed in the darkness. I never unplugged it for 5 years. The first night he called for me 3 times. Disoriented. Asking for Helen, his wife who'd died of cancer in 2006. Thinking he was late for first period, that his students were waiting for their chemistry quiz. Who are you? He asked at 3:17 a.m. And the question cut deeper than it should have. I'm Lara, I said. Carl's daughter. Your granddaughter. He stared at me for a long moment, clarity swimming back into his eyes. Lara, I'm sorry. I thought I was late for school. I settled him back to sleep, pulled the blanket up to his chest. On his nightstand, I saw a notebook, worn spiral-bound, blue cover. Inside, in shaking handwriting, April 28th, 2019. Lara moved in today. Carl said temporary. I don't think he knows what temporary means anymore. I didn't know yet that he'd keep writing, that he was already counting. May 2019. I called Carlisle Veterinary Clinic. Dr. Mitchell Hayes, my boss, the man who'd hired me fresh out of tech school, listened while I explained. Take family medical leave, he said. 12 weeks under FMLA. After that, I'll need to fill your position permanently. The choice crystallized in that moment. Career or grandfather, dream or duty. My family needs me, I said. It's the right thing to do. There was a pause on the line. The right thing doesn't always pay the bills. And family. He trailed off. Family doesn't always return the favor. I ignored the warning. My last day at the clinic, a coworker named Amy pulled me aside in the break room. Did you get all this in writing? She asked. The house thing? It's family, I said. I trust them. She didn't respond. Just gave me a look. Half pity, half warning. The kind of look you give someone walking into traffic while staring at their phone. I left with a cardboard box of desk items. Inside was my framed veterinary technician license, Pennsylvania State Board certification. I hung it once in the guest room above my narrow bed. After 6 months, I stopped looking at it. The reminder hurt too much. The first time I had to change his diaper, we both cried. It was July 2019, 3 months in. Howard had lost bladder control. I'd bought adult diapers at Walmart at 2 a.m., standing in the nearly empty aisle with my hands shaking, choosing maximum absorbency like I was picking out paper towels. I'm sorry, he kept saying while I worked, his voice thick with shame. I'm so sorry, Lara. Don't, I said, forcing my voice steady. You don't apologize for this. But inside, I was screaming. Not at him. Never at him. At the universe. At the randomness of blood clots and broken brains and bodies that betray you. I learned to do it quickly. Clinically. Without making eye contact until he was dressed again. preserving whatever dignity remained. The bed sores came next. Angry red pressure ulcers on his right hip and tailbone, despite everything I tried. I learned wound care from YouTube videos at 2 a.m., orders medical-grade foam dressings on Amazon. Purple tube of Medi honey, applied twice daily, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. for 5 years straight. Physical therapy 3 times a week. 25-minute drive to Harrisburg Medical Rehabilitation Center. Howard relearning how to use his left hand for eating, the right side dead weight. The therapist, a woman named Sandra with kind eyes, taught me exercises. Yellow latex resistance band, level 2. Still hanging on the bathroom door hook when he died. Carl visited 6 times in the first 6 months. Average duration, 35 minutes. Tyler visited 3 times. They called regularly. "How's Dad doing?" I learned they meant, "Is he stable enough that we don't need to worry?" September 12th, 2019. Phone call with Carl. I was in the kitchen making lunch, grilled cheese, tomato soup, while Howard napped. "How's he doing?" Carl asked. I could hear traffic in the background. He was calling from his car. "He had a panic attack yesterday," I said. "Thought he was late for school. Took me an hour to calm him down, and the bed sores are getting worse. I think we need to see a wound care specialist." "That sounds really hard. You're doing an amazing job, though. Dad's lucky to have you." "When can you visit? I think seeing you would help. He asks about you." "Soon. Work's absolutely crazy right now. End of quarter. You know how it is." I didn't, actually. I didn't have a job anymore. "Right," I said. "Well, keep me posted if anything changes." But nothing changed. The calls got less frequent. The visits stayed brief and transactional. I discovered Howard had started keeping visitor logs in his blue notebook. Names, dates, duration, reason for visit. Carl's entry from June 23rd. Dropped off groceries, milk, bread, coffee. Stayed 20 minutes. Did not ask Laura how she's managing. Christmas 2019. Tyler's family came for dinner. I'd cooked for 2 days. Glazed ham, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, 2 pies. Howard asked Tyler about his new job promotion. Tyler talked for 20 minutes about his new title, bigger office, better benefits. Then Howard asked, "And how's Laura doing? Is she managing okay?" Tyler looked confused. "She's fine. She's right here, isn't she?" That night, Howard wrote in his notebook, "Tyler didn't ask about Lara once, not once. She cooked for 2 days. He said thank you to the ham." I found that entry years later. At the time, I just washed dishes while they drove away in Tyler's new SUV, taillights disappearing down Maple Street. If someone had told me that caregiving is like running a marathon where the finish line keeps moving, I wouldn't have believed them. But that's what it was. A routine so consuming it became my entire existence. Wake at 6:45 a.m. 7 pills, blood pressure, anticoagulant, statin, antidepressant, vitamin D, baby aspirin, stool softener. Breakfast, oatmeal with banana, physical therapy exercises, shower, full assist, 45 minutes, lunch, his afternoon nap, not mine. I did laundry, dishes, meal prep. Activities, reading aloud, chess, sorting through old photo albums, dinner, evening medications, TV, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, bedtime routine, night monitor duty. The baby monitor's green light became the only constant in my life. That and the purple tube of bedsore cream. That and the yellow exercise band still hanging on the bathroom door. I could predict Howard's moods by the weather. Rainy days made him depressed. Sunny days gave brief energy. He hated Tuesdays for no logical reason. Wednesdays were chess day. Thursdays, we looked at photos. The sameness was suffocating and comforting simultaneously. March 2020. COVID-19. The world shut down. Carlisle closed everything except essentials. Howard was high risk, age 80, stroke history, compromised immune system. I became more isolated than I already was. No respite care, no day programs, no breaks. Carl and Tyler stopped visiting entirely. Too dangerous to expose Dad. They video called instead. FaceTime sessions where Carl talked to Howard for 10 minutes while Tyler's kids ran around screaming in the background. I tried online dating in July, downloaded Bumble, matched with a guy named Kevin, 33, accountant, seemed normal. We planned coffee. The morning of the date, Howard had breathing trouble. I canceled. No problem, Kevin texted. Let me know when things settle down. I never texted back. By November, I'd deleted all dating apps. I started keeping a journal, composition notebook, black cover. August 3rd, 2020. Grandpa asked me today if I have a boyfriend. I lied and said yes, told him about someone from high school I reconnected with. Complete fiction. I don't know why I lied. I think because if I told him the truth, that I haven't been touched by another human being except to give him a shower, haven't had a real conversation with someone my age in 4 months, he'd feel guilty. I can't let him feel guilty. This isn't his fault. April 2021. Vaccines became available. Carl and Tyler got vaccinated. Both posted photos on Facebook with band-aids and captions about being responsible citizens. They still didn't visit. We should wait until transmission rates drop, Carl said. Then, we should wait until boosters are available. Then, winter's bad for respiratory stuff. The excuses evolved. The absence didn't change. October 2020. Phone call with Carl. I mentioned I was exhausted, hadn't left the property in 3 weeks except for grocery pickup. Hang in there, he said. When this is all over, we'll all take a trip together. You've earned it. I asked carefully, what about compensation? We never formalized anything. Don't worry, the house is your compensation. Every day you're there, you're building equity. When Dad passes, and that's years away hopefully, you'll have a house free and clear. That's worth more than any salary. Building equity. The phrase became a mantra, a promise. A lie I told myself to justify why I was 30 years old and hadn't been on a date in 18 months, hadn't seen a friend in over a year, hadn't done anything except keep an old man alive. June 2021. Chess game on a Thursday afternoon. Howard, lucid, sharp, moved his bishop across the board. You should go out, he said. See friends, date, live. I'm fine, Grandpa. You're 30 years old. You should be living, not watching an old man deteriorate. This is living. Taking care of you is living. He was quiet for a long moment. Your father called yesterday. He asked if I'd thought about selling the house. Downsizing, he called it. Said I should move into senior living, that it would be easier on everyone. My stomach dropped. What did you say? I told him this is your home now, that you gave up everything. He didn't like that answer. What did he say? He said I was being sentimental, that I needed to think practically. Howard paused, studying the chessboard. I am thinking practically. Practically, you're the only one who shows up. That was the first time I won a chess game against him. Not because I got better, because something in him was starting to let go. December 2022. Family Christmas at Maple Street again. Tyler announced he and Jessica bought a new house in Hampton Township. 4 bedrooms, vaulted ceilings, finished basement with wet bar. Jessica showed photos on her phone. I did the math. That was a $380,000 house minimum. Carl pulled up in a new Audi Q5. Silver. Still had dealer plates. They had money. No one offered me anything except reassurance that it'll all work out. I went to bed that night and counted 1,327 days. That's how long I'd been there. I'd given up trying to count in weeks or months. Days were the only unit that felt real. In his notebook, Howard wrote, Lara fell asleep on the couch during dinner cleanup. I woke her. She apologized. She always apologizes for being human. I didn't know he was counting too. Different numbers. Same conclusion. April 18th, 2023. 4 years exactly since Howard's stroke. I was in the kitchen making his favorite lunch, grilled cheese and tomato soup, the simple kind that reminded him of childhood. Carl was in the living room with Howard. I heard him make a phone call. Speaker on, not realizing or not caring, that sound carries in small houses. He's declining faster than we thought, Carl said. We should talk about the house. I froze, spatula in midair over the frying pan. Tyler's voice through the speaker. I thought we agreed Lara gets it. That was the deal. That was before. Carl's voice was matter-of-fact, businessman-like. Tyler, do you know what this place is worth now? Zillow estimates $435,000. My half of that is $217K. That's retirement money. That's freedom. Long pause from Tyler. What about Lara? She got 5 years of free housing. No rent, no mortgage. That's worth at least $110,000 if you calculate it out. Plus, she's got no kids. No major expenses. She doesn't need it like we do. I've got retirement to think about. You've got college funds. Dad's going to push back. He told me at Christmas that Lara earned this house. Dad forgets things now. He's 83. His memory isn't what it was. We can explain it to him gently, frame it as protecting Lara from the burden of property taxes and maintenance. We'll help her find a nice apartment. Cover her security deposit. I dropped a plate. It didn't break. Thick ceramic. Part of a set Howard and Helen got as a wedding gift in 1962. But it bounced once on the linoleum floor, spun for 3 full seconds before settling. The sound cut through the conversation like a knife. Carl appeared in the doorway. How long have you been standing there? Long enough to hear that my 5 years of free housing is worth more than me. Lara, it's not like that. Then what's it like? Tell me. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. We're just exploring options, planning ahead. Dad could live another 10 years. And if he does, I'll still be here. Where will you be? He had no answer. He left. That night, Howard asked me if everything was okay between me and Carl. I lied. Everything's fine, Grandpa. He didn't believe me. In his notebook that night, he wrote, Carl and Lara fought today. She wouldn't tell me why, but I can guess. He's trying to take the house. I need to act faster. May 2023. Howard started asking specific, pointed questions. How often does Carl visit? When's the last time Tyler called? Does Carl help financially? I answered honestly, not understanding why he was documenting patterns, building a case. One evening, May 19th, he asked, if something happened to me tomorrow, where would you go? The question caught me off guard. I don't know. I'd probably get a studio apartment. Go back to work if I can. He nodded slowly, said nothing more. 2 days later, I drove him to a doctor's appointment in Mechanicsburg, a neurologist. Routine follow-up, I thought. But the doctor was new. Dr. Patricia Monroe, neurology and cognitive assessment. After the exam, Dr. Monroe asked me to step out. Just a private consultation with the patient. I waited 25 minutes in the hallway, scrolling my phone, assuming it was something embarrassing he didn't want me to hear. When I returned, Howard seemed satisfied, calmer than he'd been in weeks. What was that about? I asked in the car. Just routine cognitive testing, making sure the old brain still works. I didn't know Dr. Monroe had just certified him legally competent for estate planning purposes. May 23rd evening. Kitchen table, Howard nursing a cup of tea I'd made him. Lara, do you keep records of your work here? What do you mean? Hours, tasks, what you do every day, details. I keep a journal, mostly just venting, processing. Could you be more specific in it? Numbers, dates, times. How often you help with bathing, medications, meals. How many doctor appointments, emergency room visits? I stared at him. Why would I track that? Humor an old chemistry teacher. Show your work. You remember what I always told my students? Answers don't matter if you can't prove how you got there. Exactly. So show your work. For me. The next morning, I found Dr. Monroe's business card on the kitchen table. I didn't understand why it mattered. Not yet. That night, I woke at 2:30 a.m., light under Howard's door. I knocked gently. Opened. He sat at his desk writing by lamplight. Not the notebook, but fresh legal paper. Do you need help? I asked. No, I'm just showing my work. I didn't understand. I went back to bed. The baby monitor's green light glowed in the darkness, constant as ever. October 15th, 2023. Family dinner. Thanksgiving prep discussion. Carl brought it up directly over the pot roast I'd spent 3 hours cooking. Dad, we need to talk about estate planning. Have you updated your will recently? I updated it in March, Howard said. Carl looked surprised. You did? You didn't mention that. What changed? I'll tell you when the time comes. Tyler leaned forward. Dad, we're just trying to make sure everyone's taken care of fairly. That's what you'd want, right? Fair. Interesting word. Fair to whom? Fair to all of us. Equal shares. Equal consideration. Howard's left hand trembled slightly as he reached for his water glass. Equal work deserves equal pay. Has anyone here done equal work? Silence settled over the table like fog. Jessica broke it. Dad, with all due respect, Laura chose to do this. No one forced her. I watched this exchange, stomach clenched, saying nothing. I'd learned over 4 years that speaking up only made things worse. After dinner, Jessica cornered me in the kitchen while I loaded the dishwasher. You know, if you need help finding a place after... She smiled, sympathetic, poisonous. We know a good realtor. She specializes in apartments for single people. Very affordable. I realized they weren't planning for if, they were planning for when. Did you really update your will? I asked Howard after everyone left. I did. Can you tell me, Laura? He took my hand, his grip weak, trembling but deliberate. I need you to trust me. Can you do that? I've trusted you this whole time. Then trust me a little longer. Everything I'm doing because I see what they don't see. What do they not see? That you're the only one who stayed. As Carl and Tyler left, together in Tyler's car, I stood at the window and watched them in the driveway. I couldn't hear their conversation, but I saw Tyler's animated gestures, Carl shaking his head. Tyler pointed back at the house. Later, I would see the texts they exchanged. Tyler to Carl. Do you think he actually changed it, or is he just saying that to mess with us? Carl's response. Either way, we contest if we need to. No judge will side with him if we prove she manipulated him. But that night, I just watched them drive away, red taillights disappearing down Maple Street, and wondered if family was supposed to feel this lonely. January 2024. Howard's health deteriorated rapidly. Small strokes, TIAs, the doctor called them. Transient ischemic attacks, twice in 2 weeks. The doctor recommended hospice evaluation. I don't want to die in a hospital, Howard said. His voice was weaker now, words slurred. I don't want to die in a white room with strangers. I want to be home. I understood what that meant. I was 33 now. He was 83. This was the beginning of the end. I converted the living room into a medical space. Hospital bed from Carlisle Medical Supply, $250 a month. Oxygen concentrator, 180. Medication cart with 14 different prescriptions. The house transformed into a place where someone went to die slowly. Carl visited 3 times in January. January 7th, 30 minutes. January 15th, 25 minutes. January 28th, 40 minutes. Longest visit in years, because Howard was clearly dying, and even Carl couldn't ignore that anymore. Tyler came once, brought his kids, now 12 and 9. They stood in the doorway of the living room, scared of their great-grandfather's appearance. The oxygen cannula, the skeletal frame, the way he drifted in and out of awareness. They stayed 20 minutes. That night, Tyler posted on Facebook, "Blessed to spend time with Grandpa today, cherishing every moment." Photo of him smiling next to Howard's hospital bed. 43 likes. By February, Howard lost bowel control completely. I changed diapers multiple times daily, cleaned him without complaint, without letting him see my face when the smell was overwhelming. I learned to breathe through my mouth. I learned that dignity is something you give someone else, not something they can keep themselves. February 15th. He had a lucid window. Rare now. Precious. "Laura, I need to tell you something important." I sat beside the hospital bed, held his left hand. "What is it, Grandpa?" "I know what Carl said. About the house. About you not needing it. You don't need to worry about that now. Just rest." "I'm not worried. I already fixed it." "Fixed what?" But he was falling asleep mid-sentence, the way he did now. Words trailing off into nothing. "You'll see," he whispered. "Everything's documented. You passed." "Past what?" But he was gone. Asleep or unconscious. I couldn't tell anymore. February 28th. Late night. He woke suddenly at 11:43 p.m., grabbed my hand with surprising strength. "Did you keep records?" Like I asked. I showed him my journal, now 3 notebooks full. He nodded. "Good girl. They'll try to say you didn't do enough, that you were lazy, that you took advantage. You have proof now. Proof you stayed." March 8th, 2024. 10 a.m. A black sedan pulled into the driveway. A lawyer, Nathan Cooper from Cooper and Associates Estate Planning. I didn't recognize the firm name. Howard had requested this visit 3 weeks ago. I hadn't known. They closed the bedroom door. I sat in the kitchen, hearing low murmuring, Howard's voice stronger than it had been in weeks, occasionally laughing. After 90 minutes, Nathan Cooper emerged with a briefcase full of documents. "Laura, could you come in?" Howard called. He asked me to sign some paperwork. "Medical power of attorney expansion," he explained. "Healthcare directive updates." I signed where the yellow tabs indicated. 6 minutes. That's how long it took to change my entire future. Nathan Cooper shook my hand at the door. "Your grandfather is very proud of you, Miss Lambert. He wanted me to make sure you know that. He said you're the only one who understood what family actually means." I thought it was just pleasantries. That evening, Carl called. "I heard Dad had a lawyer visit today. What was that about?" "He didn't tell me details, just estate planning stuff." "Laura, if he changed anything major without consulting the family, that's a problem. We have a right to know." "Then ask him yourself. You know where he lives." I hung up. First time I'd ever hung up on my father. It felt like free fall. April 1st through 18th, 2024. Hospice nurse Rachel, 45, kind eyes, 20 years of experience, came 3 times a week. She taught me about active dying, the stages, the breathing patterns, the signs that death is hours away instead of days. Howard stopped eating April 5th. Stopped drinking April 9th. I held his hand. Played Beethoven's Ninth Symphony on loop from an iPad propped on the nightstand. Read passages from his chemistry textbook even though he was unconscious. Covalent bonds, I read aloud. Occur when atoms share electrons. The sharing creates stability. The bond is stronger than either atom alone. He smiled in his sleep when I read that. Or maybe I imagined it. He hallucinated when briefly awake, thought he was teaching again, asked me to take attendance, called me Miss Peterson, a student from 1987. I played along. Everyone's here, Mr. Lambert. Your class is ready. Carl visited April 10th for 30 minutes. Howard didn't wake. Call me when it's close, Carl said. How do you measure close? I asked. He didn't answer. Tyler visited April 12th, brought flowers, grocery store bouquet, still had the $12.99 price sticker. Howard didn't wake for this either. Call when it's time, Tyler said. Neither offered to stay. Neither offered to take a shift so I could sleep. April 16th, 2 p.m. Rachel found me in the kitchen after checking Howard's vitals. Lara, you need to rest. You've been awake for over 30 hours. I can't. What if he wakes up and I'm not here? What if he's scared? He's not scared, honey. He's peaceful. He knows you're here. He's known the whole time. Has anyone else been here the whole time? Rachel's face softened with something like pity. No, sweetheart. Just you. I've been doing this 20 years. It's always the same. One person does everything. Everyone else shows up at the end for the credit. April 17th, 2:18 a.m. I thought he was asleep, but he spoke, words barely audible over the oxygen concentrator's hum. Lara, you passed the test. You stayed. They didn't. What test, Grandpa? But he was gone again, drifting. April 18th, 2024, 6:23 a.m. Morning light through the window. Beethoven playing the Ode to Joy movement for the 23rd time. My hand holding his. His breathing stopped. Not dramatic. Not like the movies. Just stopped. Rachel confirmed it at 6:35 a.m. Time of death, 6:23 a.m. I called Carl at 6:35. His first words after, I'm so sorry. When's the will reading? After he died, after Rachel made the official pronouncement and called the funeral home, I found his final visitor log entry, dated April 17th, 2 a.m., written during that brief lucid moment. Final count, Lara, present as primary caregiver, 1,826 days. Carl, visited 89 occasions. Tyler, visited 52 occasions. I told her she passed. She still doesn't know what test she was taking. But I do. The test was, who stays when staying is hard? Answer, Lara. Only Lara. April 22nd, 2024. The funeral. Grace Lutheran Church, downtown Carlisle. Howard had been a member for 38 years. About 180 people attended. Far more than I expected. Former students, teaching colleagues from Carlisle High School, neighbors, church members. The sanctuary was fuller than it had been for any service in recent memory. Carl gave the eulogy. 8 minutes. Well written. Talked about Dad's dedication to education, his love of science, his commitment to family. Said family 4 times. Never said my name. Tyler read Psalm 23. His voice cracked once. It might have been genuine. I sat in the front row wearing a black dress I'd bought at Target 3 days earlier because I didn't own funeral clothes. At the reception in the church basement, Jessica poured coffee and said to me, "At least now you can get back to your life. Start fresh. You're still young." A stranger approached me. Man, mid-50s, graying beard, kind face. "Are you the granddaughter who took care of him?" I nodded. "I'm Daniel Foster. Your grandfather taught me chemistry in 1989. Changed my life. I became a chemical engineer because of him. He sent Christmas cards every year. Last one, this past December, he wrote about you. Said you were the only one who showed up. He said he was proud of you." I wanted you to know he told people that. I started crying. First real tears since Howard died. Daniel handed me a napkin, squeezed my shoulder, walked away. Carl saw the exchange, looked uncomfortable. Tyler approached me near the coffee station. So, the lawyer said, will reading is scheduled for next week, April 29th. Should be pretty straightforward. Straightforward? House, savings, personal items. Split between Dad and me. You'll probably get some personal effects. His books, maybe the chess set. Some cash for your trouble. Your trouble. 5 years of my time, I said. Right, and we appreciate it. We really do. But you're being realistic, right? There's 3 of us. It'll be divided fairly. Jessica joined us, touched my arm. You'll land on your feet. You're resourceful? Honestly, this might be good for you. A fresh start somewhere new. Clean slate. I drove home alone to the empty house on Maple Street, the house that no longer belonged to Howard. The house I assumed would soon belong to my father and brother. On the kitchen table, a manila envelope, my name in Howard's shaking handwriting. Inside, a note. Dear Laura, open this the night before the will reading. Not before. Trust me one last time. Grandpa Howard. I didn't open it yet. It was only April 22nd. Will reading was April 29th. 7 days. I put it on my nightstand. Looked at it every night. Waited. April 28th, 2024. 9 p.m. I sat on my narrow bed in the guest room. The room that had been mine for 5 years. Tomorrow was the will reading. Tomorrow I'd find out what 5 years was worth. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. 3 pages. Handwritten. Dated March 10th, 2024. Dear Laura, if you're reading this, it's the night before the will reading. I asked you to wait because I wanted you to have one last peaceful night before everything changes. Tomorrow your father and brother will laugh at you. They'll mock you. Tyler will say cruel things. Jessica will smirk. I'm sorry I can't protect you from that moment. But I needed to see who they really were when they thought they'd won. I've been counting for 5 years, not just visits, though those numbers are damning enough. I've been counting promises broken, phone calls where they asked about me but never about you, holidays they cut short, times they said, we'll make it right, and then did nothing. You gave me 1,826 days. Your father visited 89 times. Your brother visited 52 times. You gave me your life. They gave me excuses. Tomorrow you'll receive $10 in the public will. This is theater. I needed them to reveal themselves in front of witnesses. The lawyer, Jessica, maybe others. The way they treat you when they think they've won will be documented. Remembered. The real will, the one that matters, is not in probate court. On March 9th, 2024, I transferred this house, my savings and my life insurance policy into an irrevocable trust. You are the sole beneficiary. The house is yours. The money is yours. All of it. I calculated what you're owed based on Pennsylvania home health care rates for live-in care. Professional agencies charge $8,500 per month for 24/7 care. You did this for 60 months. That's $510,000. Add your lost income, $210,000 over 5 years, and the total is $720,000. I'm giving you $783,000, house plus savings plus life insurance. The extra $63,000 is for 5 years of emotional labor no one can quantify. The nights you didn't sleep, the life you didn't live, the person you put on hold to keep me alive. You can call it payment. I call it justice. Don't let them guilt you. You earned this. Not through blood, not through obligation, through showing up. Tomorrow, after they've laughed and revealed themselves, Mr. Cooper will produce this letter and the trust documents. He has copies of everything. My visitor logs, your journals, Dr. Monroe's competency evaluation, dated March 8, 2024. She confirmed I was of sound mind. He has recordings of phone calls where Carl discussed taking the house. Pennsylvania is a one-party consent state. I didn't need their permission to document. You won't lose tomorrow. You already won. You won the day you moved in. You won every day you stayed. With all my love and gratitude, Grandpa Howard. P.S. I made copies of everything. The lawyer has instructions. Let them laugh first. The silence after will be worth it. P.P.S. The house key is in the chess set, inside the White Queen. I had a second key made in February and hid it there. This house is yours now. Change the locks after they leave. I read it 3 times. First time, I couldn't breathe. Second time, I cried. Huge, gulping sobs. Third time, I started laughing and couldn't stop. Crying and laughing simultaneously. I checked the chess set. Opened the White Queen. It unscrewed at the base. I never knew this. Inside, a silver key on a ring with a handwritten tag, 412 Maple Street, yours, H.L. I texted Carl at 10:30 p.m. See you tomorrow at the reading. He responded immediately. Try to be gracious about however it's divided. Family first. Dad would want us to get along. I didn't respond. I went to sleep for the first time in 5 years without setting an alarm. No one needed me to wake up at 6:45 a.m. anymore. April 29th, 2024. 2 p.m. Cooper and Associates, 127 West High Street, Carlisle. Third floor conference room, mahogany table, large window overlooking the square. I arrived first, sat alone on one side of the table. Carl and Tyler arrived together 5 minutes later. Jessica with them, scrolling her phone. They sat across from me, confident, almost jovial. Tyler whispered something to Carl. Both smirked. I sat silent, remembering the letter. Let them laugh first. Nathan Cooper entered. Gray suit. 50-something, calm demeanor. Thank you all for coming. I'll read the last will and testament of Howard Lambert, executed April 3, 2024, before witnesses and notarized. He opened a folder. I, Howard James Lambert, being of sound mind and memory, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. To my son, Carl Lambert, and my grandson, Tyler Lambert. I leave the residual of my probate estate to be divided equally between them. To my granddaughter, Laura Lambert, I leave the sum of $10 and my personal effects, including books, photographs, and household items of sentimental value. I have made provisions for my primary assets outside of this probate estate, as is my legal right. Carl burst out laughing. Tyler leaned forward, sneered loud enough for everyone to hear. $10? After 5 years of you wiping his ass, changing his diapers, and sleeping on a fucking cot like a servant? Guess that's all your so-called sacrifice was worth, huh? Jessica smirked. At least she was useful for something before he died. We should have paid her minimum wage. Carl caught his breath. Jesus, Laura, I almost feel bad. But hey, $10 is $10, right? He turned to Tyler. So we're splitting the house in savings. That's what, $260 each? Tyler pulled out his phone. Calculator app. House is $435 per Zillow. Savings Dad told me last year were around $86,000. So yeah, about $521 total, $260 each. He looked at me. You can have the chess set and his books. Consider it a bonus. Nathan Cooper hadn't moved. He watched this entire exchange with an expression I couldn't read. Are you finished? He asked. Carl smiled. Sorry. Just caught off guard by how little she got. Didn't mean to be insensitive. He absolutely meant it. Mr. Lambert, you misunderstand. The will I just read distributes your father's probate estate. His primary assets are not in probate. Tyler's smile faltered. What does that mean? It means the house, savings accounts, and life insurance policy were transferred outside of probate prior to his death. Carl's smile disappeared. Transferred where? To an irrevocable trust established March 9th, 2024. Silence. Abrupt, like a record scratch. Jessica's smirk vanished. Tyler's phone slipped in his hand, clattered on the table. A trust? Tyler's voice was tight. Who's the beneficiary? Nathan Cooper looked directly at me. Miss Lambert, your grandfather left additional documents for you. Would you like me to read them now, or would you prefer privacy? My voice came out steady, stronger than I expected. Read them. I want everyone to hear. Nathan Cooper opened a second folder. Thicker. Tabbed sections. Official seals. The Howard Lambert Family Trust, established March 9th, 2024, names Laura Lambert as sole trustee and sole beneficiary. Assets transferred to the trust include real property at 412 Maple Street, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, valued at $435,000. Title transferred via quitclaim deed, recorded with Cumberland County Recorder of Deeds. 2 savings accounts with Members First Federal Credit Union, total balance $86,420. Life insurance policy through TIAA, death benefit $262,000, with direct beneficiary designation to Laura Lambert. Total asset value, approximately $783,420. 5 full seconds of silence. Then Carl. That's not possible. He wouldn't. We talked about this. Nathan Cooper's voice remained calm. I have no record of any discussions between you and your father regarding this trust, Mr. Lambert. I do have extensive documentation of Miss Lambert's caregiving over 5 years, which your father considered compensation for this transfer. Tyler stood up. This is insane. Laura, you manipulated him. He was vulnerable. He'd had strokes. Nathan Cooper cut him off. Your grandfather was evaluated by Dr. Patricia Monroe, a board-certified neurologist, on March 8th, 2024, one day before the trust was executed. She certified him as having full testamentary capacity and cognitive competence. I have her written evaluation here. He produced the document, slid it across the table. Jessica leaned forward. We're contesting this. You're welcome to try. The trust is irrevocable, meaning even your grandfather couldn't undo it after execution. It was created while he was demonstrably competent, with independent medical certification. And there's more you should see. Carl turned to me. You did this. You convinced him. I didn't know, I said, my voice quiet but firm. I found out last night. Bullshit, Tyler spat. You've been planning this for years. I was there. My voice rose. Every single day. Where were you? Jessica's face hardened. You had nothing else to do. I had a career. I had a life. I gave them up because you begged me to. Carl shook his head. We didn't beg. You're single. You have time. Your exact words. April 19th, 2019. Panera Bread on Hanover Street. You said if I did this, I'd have equity. You said you'd make it right. You lied. That's not... We were going to... Tyler stammered. Nathan Cooper interrupted. Gentlemen, Mrs. Lambert, perhaps you should see what else your grandfather documented. Carl's hands shook as he reached for the water glass on the table. It slipped, spilled across the mahogany, soaking Tyler's phone. No one moved to clean it up. Nathan Cooper opened a third folder. Your grandfather kept detailed visitor logs for 5 years. He also prepared an itemized compensation analysis of Miss Lambert's caregiving services based on Pennsylvania home health care industry standards. Would you like to see it, or would you prefer to leave now? Carl's voice was hoarse. Show us. Nathan Cooper distributed copies of a typed document. Professional, formatted, notarized, title, Caregiver Compensation Analysis. Laura Lambert, April 2019 to April 2024. Prepared by Howard J. Lambert. He read key sections aloud. Market rate analysis. Professional live-in home healthcare agencies in Pennsylvania charge an average of $8,500 per month for 24/7 care. Calculation, duration, 60 months. Monthly rate, $8,500. Subtotal, $510,000. Additional compensation. Lost income, veterinary technician salary, $42,000 per year times 5 years, $210,000. Lost benefits, $23,000. Emotional labor adjustment, $40,000. Total owed, $783,000. Assets transferred to Laura Lambert, $783,420. Per Pennsylvania home health care standards, this represents fair market compensation for services rendered. Tyler stared at the document. This is ridiculous. She didn't work those hours. She lived there. Live-in care is more expensive, Mr. Lambert, not less. When you don't get to go home at the end of a shift, when you're on call 24 hours a day, the compensation increases. That's industry standard. Carl tried again. She lived there rent-free. That's compensation. Fair market rent for that property is approximately $1,800 per month. Over 60 months, that's $108,000. Subtracted from $783,000, the balance owed would still be $675,000. Shall I adjust the calculation? Carl said nothing. Jessica's voice was sharp. She doesn't even have kids. What does she need $750,000 for? Something inside me snapped. I stood up, voice shaking but with rage, not fear. To pay myself back for 5 years of changing your father-in-law's diapers while you were busy buying a house with a wet bar. To compensate for sleeping on a cot for 1,826 nights while you posted Facebook photos about blessed family time after 30-minute visits. To make up for the life I didn't live, the career I didn't have, the person I didn't become because I was too busy keeping an old man alive while his son and grandson cashed checks and bought Audis. Jessica picked up the invoice, scanned it, set it down like it burned her. Dad wouldn't do this, Carl said. Desperate now. He loved us. He wouldn't cut us out. Nathan Cooper's response was measured. He didn't cut you out of his will, Mr. Lambert. He cut you out of his trust. There's a difference. And perhaps if you'd visited more than 89 times in 5 years, he would have felt differently. Shall we review the visitor logs? Nathan Cooper produced 5 blue spiral notebooks, Howard's visitor logs, 1 per year. He opened to marked pages. His voice remained neutral. But the content was devastating. June 14th, 2019. Carl visited, 25 minutes. Asked to borrow $200 for emergency car repair. Did not ask how I was feeling or how Laura was managing. Left immediately after I wrote the check. December 25th, 2019. Tyler family here for Christmas dinner. Laura cooked for 2 days. Tyler stayed 90 minutes, left after dessert without helping clean. Later found out from Laura he posted Facebook photo, blessed family time with Grandpa. Photo took longer to edit than visit lasted. August 3rd, 2020. No visits from Carl or Tyler this month. Not one. Laura called Carl twice asking for help with roof repair. Carl said he was busy. Roof still leaking. Laura put a bucket under it. April 10th, 2024. Carl visited. I pretended to be asleep. Heard him on phone in hallway with Tyler. He's got days. Maybe weeks. We should talk to the realtor now. He thinks I'm too deaf to hear. I hear everything. Carl's face went red. He was confused toward the end. These logs were maintained consistently from April 2019 through April 2024. The handwriting deteriorates due to stroke effects. but the content remains lucid, specific, and corroborated by external evidence. Tyler tried to grab the notebooks. Nathan Cooper pulled them back smoothly. "These are evidence, Mr. Lambert. They remain in my possession." He retrieved one more document. Sealed envelope. Broke the seal. Unfolded 3 handwritten pages. "There's one more letter your grandfather wrote. He asked me to read it aloud only if you challenged the trust or impugned Miss Lambert's character. You've done both. So, I'll read it now." Nathan Cooper's voice filled the conference room. "Carl and Tyler, if you're hearing this, you've contested the trust or attacked Lara's character. That means you learned nothing from 5 years of watching her sacrifice everything while you sacrificed nothing. Carl, you visited me 89 times in 5 years. Once every 20 days. You stayed an average of 32 minutes. You asked me for money 8 times. You asked Lara if she needed help 0 times. Tyler, you visited me 52 times in 5 years, once every 35 days. You posted 14 Facebook photos about family time with me. Total time spent during those 14 visits, 4 hours 20 minutes. You spent longer editing the photos than sitting with me. In October 2023, Carl, you asked me to reconsider leaving Lara the house because Tyler's kids need college funds. You said Lara doesn't have kids to support, as if her life has less value because she sacrificed marriage and motherhood to take care of me. You both promised Lara she'd be compensated. Then you planned, I heard you, to take the house and give her help with security deposit on an apartment. 5 years of her life for a security deposit. I made an invoice because caregiving is labor. Real labor. Invisible labor that society, and you, refuse to value because it's done by women, done out of love, done in private. Lara worked for 5 years. The invoice isn't a gift, it's her paycheck. Long overdue. You want to know why you got nothing? Because you gave nothing. You abandoned your father when he needed you most, and you exploited your niece's kindness until there was nothing left to exploit. If you're angry, be angry at yourselves. Your father. Howard Lambert. March 10th, 2024. Silence for 45 seconds. Carl's voice cracked. "Lara, we can work this out. We're family." "No," I said. "We can't. We made mistakes. But we're still family. You stopped being family when you started planning my eviction while Grandpa was dying." Jessica stood up. "You're taking this out of context. You told me I'd land on my feet because I'm resourceful. Remember that? At the funeral? 4 days after I watched him take his last breath? Alone? Because neither of you could be bothered to stay overnight even once in 5 years?" I picked up my copy of the invoice, folded it carefully, put it in my purse. "I don't want to hear my name in your mouth ever again." I walked toward the door. Tyler's voice behind me. "You'll regret this. You're tearing this family apart." I stopped, turned. "I'm not tearing it apart. I'm just refusing to hold the pieces together anymore. That was always my job, wasn't it? Holding things together while you broke them?" I left. The door closed behind me. The silence I left behind was the loudest thing in that room. May 1st. Carl hired a lawyer, Mitchell and Reed Associates, Harrisburg. Sent me a cease and desist letter threatening to contest the trust. I forwarded it to Nathan Cooper. His response was 7 pages, professional, devastating, ending with, "Your clients have no viable legal claim. Any court action will expose them to significant reputational harm and potential sanctions for frivolous litigation." Tyler texted me May 4th. "Dad's lawyer says we have a strong case. Last chance to settle reasonably." "Define reasonably," I replied. 50-50 split. You keep the house, we split the insurance and savings. That's still almost $450,000 for you. I earned $783,000. The answer is no. You're being greedy. You're tearing this family apart. You tore it apart 5 years ago when you left me alone with a dying man. I'm just refusing to clean up the mess anymore. I blocked his number. Then Carl's. Then Jessica's. May 6th, I changed the locks on 412 Maple Street. Used Howard's hidden key one last time, then had new keys made. The old keys I put in an envelope, mailed to Carl with a note. These don't work anymore. Neither does guilt. May 7th evening. Anonymous text from an unknown number. You don't deserve that money. Karma will find you. I screenshot it. Sent it to Nathan Cooper. Changed my phone number the next day. Carlisle is a small town. Population 19,584. Word spread fast. The narrative that spread: Howard Lambert's granddaughter took care of him for 5 years while his son and grandson barely visited. Howard left her everything. They're trying to sue her for it. Public opinion heavily favored me. May 10th. Woman at Carl's Credit Union, Members First Federal, where he worked as branch manager, closed her savings account. Told him why to his face. Howard Lambert was the best teacher I ever worked with. If he wanted his granddaughter to have everything, he had a reason. $23,000. Moved to a different credit union. 4 more customers closed accounts that week. Jessica worked as a teacher's aide at Wilson Middle School. Other staff started treating her differently, colder, more distant. One teacher, who'd had Howard for chemistry in 1985, confronted her in the break room. I heard about the will. How dare you and Tyler try to take what Laura earned? Jessica quit the next week, claimed hostile work environment. May 12th. Letter to the editor, Carlisle Sentinel. I was Howard Lambert's student in 1989. He taught me chemistry and critical thinking. Last week I learned his family abandoned him while his granddaughter cared for him alone, then tried to steal her inheritance. Mr. Lambert was the most ethical man I knew. If he left her everything, there was a reason. Justice was served. Let it stand. Daniel Foster, Carlisle. 7 more letters were published over the next week. All supporting me. 0 supporting Carl or Tyler. May 13th. Tyler's daughter Chloe came home from school crying. Kids had been asking her, "Is it true your dad didn't visit your great-grandpa?" Tyler called me from Jessica's phone. "You're turning the whole town against us." "I haven't said a word to anyone," I said. "The truth is doing that on its own." I hung up. May 14th, 11 a.m. Nathan Cooper called. Carl's lawyer called me this morning. They're dropping the contest. They can't afford the reputational damage. It's over. You won. I sat down on the kitchen floor. The floor I'd mopped 1,000 times. It was never about winning, I said. It was about them finally seeing what they did. They see it now, Nathan said. The whole town does. May 17th. My great-aunt Beverly called, Howard's sister, 81 years old. "Laura, honey, it's Aunt Bev. I just heard about everything. I'm sorry if this has caused..." "Don't you dare apologize. Howard called me in March. Told me exactly what he was planning. He asked if I agreed. I said yes. You're the only one who deserved it." I started crying. "He saw everything, sweetheart. He always did. That's why he was a good teacher. He noticed the kids others ignored. Your father called me yesterday. Asked me to talk sense into you. I told him there's no sense to talk. You earned that house." 2 days later, a check for $500 arrived with a note. "For your fresh start, Aunt Bev." Maybe you've been in a situation like this. Maybe you've been the one who stayed while everyone else left. Maybe you've wondered if anyone was counting. If you have, I want you to know. Someone sees you, even if it doesn't feel like it. Even if the people who should notice don't. Someone is counting. May 23rd, 2024. I met with Nathan Cooper for the final time. House title transferred fully to my name. Deed recorded with Cumberland County. Official. Irrevocable. Mine. Life insurance payout arrived, $262,000 after taxes. Savings accounts transferred, $86,420. Total, $783,420. I paid off medical bills from Howard's final month. $12,300. Paid Nathan Cooper's legal fees, $8,500. Donated $25,000 to Hospice of Central PA in Howard's name. Kept $737,620. For the first time in 5 years, I thought about what I wanted. July 12th, 2024. My friend Amy, the one who'd warned me to get it in writing 5 years earlier, posted my story to Reddit without my permission. R/. Am I the asshole? AITA for accepting my grandfather's inheritance when my family says I manipulated him? It went viral. 38,000 upvotes in 48 hours. Top comment, NTA. You didn't manipulate him. You showed up. There's a difference. Another. As someone who's a home health aide, those rates are accurate. Your grandfather didn't overpay you. He paid market value. Another. The fact that he documented everything shows he knew they'd try this. He wasn't confused. He was strategic. Smart man. Rest in peace. 4,200 comments. Most of them said the same thing. You earned it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. July 15th. BuzzFeed picked up the story. Then HuffPost. Then Today. Show Digital. Headline: Granddaughter's itemized caregiving invoice sparks national conversation about unpaid family labor. July 18th. HuffPost asked for an interview. Anonymous. Voice disguised. Face blurred. How did you feel when your family laughed at the $10 inheritance? Honestly, not surprised. They'd been laughing at me, quietly, for 5 years. This was just the first time they did it loud enough for others to hear. What do you want people to take away from this story? I thought about that. That caregiving is real work. That showing up matters. That when someone tells you they'll make it right, get it in writing, and that sometimes the people who see you aren't the people you expect. 620,000 views in the first week, 89,000 shares across all platforms, 340 messages from strangers thanking me for telling the story, 180 messages from other family caregivers sharing similar experiences, and 8 death threats, all forwarded to police, but mostly validation. Thousands of people saying, "You're not crazy, you're not selfish, you did the right thing." Sometimes that's all you need. August 15th, 2024. My veterinary technician license reactivated. 12 continuing education credits. Passed with 96%. Dr. Mitchell Hayes offered me a position at Carlisle Veterinary Clinic. Senior vet tech. $48,000 a year. Full benefits. I accepted. September 3rd, 2024. First day back at work in 5 years. I cried in the bathroom before my shift. Relief tears. Freedom tears. My first patient was a 13-year-old beagle named Copper, arthritis, struggling to walk. His owner, an elderly woman, 78, was terrified of putting him down. I gave her extra time, explained pain management options gently, offered to call weekly to check in. She cried with gratitude. I understood why. I recognized the fear of losing someone you love, the guilt of deciding when enough is enough. September 20th. I ran into Carl at Cornerstone Coffee House. He was ahead of me in line. Didn't see me until he turned around with his order. Awkward silence. "Lara, how are you?" "Good. Really good." He nodded, left without another word. I realized I felt nothing. No anger, no guilt, no pain. Just nothing. It was the best feeling in the world. October 2024. I started thinking about pet hospice care. In-home end-of-life support for pets whose owners want them to die at home with dignity. I researched, found there was only one service within 50 miles. I talked to Dr. Hayes about starting a side business. Lambert Pet Hospice and Palliative Care. He encouraged me. I used $50,000 from the inheritance, formed an LLC, got certifications, bought equipment, soft launch. January 2025. By April 2025, I had 12 clients. The work was emotionally hard, but I was good at it. I knew how to sit with grief. I'd earned that knowledge. March 2025. Elderly man, 78, with a dying cat. Kidney failure, 16 years old. I can't afford hospital care, but I can't let her die alone. You don't have to, I said. I'll come to you. We'll make sure she's comfortable and you're with her at the end. How much does this cost? Sliding scale based on what you can pay. What matters is, she doesn't suffer, and you don't go through this alone. Later, after the cat passed peacefully at home, the man crying, me present. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be there. Someone did that for me once, I said. I'm just passing it forward. June 18th, 2025. 1 year since the will reading. I'm 34 now. Howard has been gone 14 months. I framed his invoice. Not the original, that's with Nathan Cooper, but a clean copy. Hung it in my home office next to my vet tech license. Under the frame, a brass plaque. Love is labor. Labor has value. Howard Lambert, 1940 to 2024. I posted a photo to Facebook. First post in 2 years. Caption: 1 year ago, my grandfather gave me permission to value my own work. Still learning how, but I'm getting there. Comments poured in. Support, encouragement, former clients thanking me. I didn't check if Carl or Tyler saw it. I didn't care. If you're taking care of someone right now, a parent, grandparent, spouse, sibling, and you're doing it alone while everyone else has excuses, I want you to hear this. Document everything. Keep records. Value your labor even if no one else does. And don't set yourself on fire to keep people warm who wouldn't cross the street to help you. You deserve more than $10 and a pat on the head. You deserve to be seen. April 18th, 2026. 2 years exactly since Howard died. I'm 35 now. I'm sitting in my house, 412 Maple Street, deed in my name, mortgage free, drinking coffee.